him. Hello! How's it going? I decided to take a moment to clear my throat as we begin the final stretch of Pokemon Moon. Last time, we caught the Pokemon on the box. We renamed it to Salsa, and we are ready to journey to the Elite Four and to beat this goddamn game. Well, let's go. I should also put down a repel. I have no plans on getting anyone or adding anyone else to the team. I'm trying to... I had some different ideas going into this game of who I wanted to catch and what I wanted my team to be. There's a website that lets you, like, pick your team and just all the sprites, all the baby sprites of all the Pokemon were there, and you can just click through all of them to see what you could get. And I think I could pull that up in a second and see how my team compares from that as we go through the victory road here. I was about to say this is an ice cave. I hope I get Ice Beam. Didn't actually expect that to happen though. Ooh, you can learn it. I'll give that to Salsa, why not? What's Night Days do? I like the Dark. We already have a Ghost type move, so I can just put that on you. Giving you access to another good move is nice. Some may say, why don't you give it to your Ice Pokemon? You're funny. Have you seen his special attack stat lately? You haven't? Don't. Just don't. You don't want to depress yourself. Is this what is that? Just a Glaceon rock? I assume that's just a rock of like you touch it and then it's like, oh man, your Eevee's evolving. I guess at this point I could start talking about my feelings in the game. Maybe give a final thoughts type of thing on it. I mean, why not? I think this game's good. I think it's the best Pokemon game they released in a while. Talking about it from a story perspective, it's still it's good in terms of like a Pokemon game. But I don't know if that's like a backhanded compliment for it. Because, you know, I don't expect a lot from a Pokemon game story going into it, and was pleasantly surprised that it decided to not continue its regression that it had in X and Y and Oris, and it instead decided to give us something special, something nice. Like, it clearly tried to do things with your friend characters and in the Hoenn remakes and in X and Y especially, of giving you a bunch of friend characters for you to connect with and try and get you to, you know, feel like you're friends with them and your journey with them. And in X and Y, they did it and it was an absolute fucking nightmare and wasn't fun and none of the characters were good. In this, they're alright. They're perfectly fine. Both Lily and Hau are okay characters. And the rest of the characters that could be considered your friends in other games they would tack on, they decided to just make them boss fights that you don't actually fight with the trial captains. Also, moving on, we are having our final battle with Hau of the game. And, he is, well, he's kind of stacked. I'm gonna do Pain Split. Good. Oh god, Pain Split didn't do nearly as much as I thought it would do. I'm gonna switch in Dempsey. Alright, Dempsey, you evolved. Show me what you can do! Fuck! Come on! You useless bastard! Oh no! No! His first appearance, and it's all his fault. Some may say, Casey, it's your fault. You switched into it. You put him at a disadvantage. My response to you, good sir, is that you are not a good sir. You're a bad sir. Now eat my ass! I'm gonna throw these shackles at him. Take that, you loser. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and revive him. Wake up. He woke up. Oh god, did I forget what matchup's going on right now? Goodbye, my friend. Wait, no, don't do that. He's weak to fire. You! Get out here! Fix the problem your friends fucking made. Those friends not being me because it wasn't my fault. Don't give me that look! Joke's on you, I'm a special attacker, son. Oh, great. I'm not gonna kill with the next one. Wait, no, hold on. I'm gonna hit this thing. I like the weird gangsta pose we do when we do the poison one. Spitting some poison on that mic. Fuck you! You fuck! Actually, I looked away when I brought it to 1 HP and failed to kill it, so I don't actually know what happened. Why did it die? Why the fuck is this a Pokemon? It's like, I love this piece of wood. It is mine. I'm spinning. I'm dead. No! Oh, that hurt. That hurt a lot. Please die. You're not gonna die. Like, I can... You know, Pokemon went in the right direction of finding the best way to disappoint you in a fight. If I can be quite honest with you. And this isn't a negative against it. You know what? It kind of is depending on how you look at it. They added a feature in which you could very easily tell if you're going to, how fucked up the next move's gonna be. Because you will receive the attack or will deal out the attack. And depending on how fast the meter moves, will tell you if shit's popping off or not. Worst part is when the enemy is whether or not your Pokemon's low on health and then gets hit, because then it goes super fucking slow no matter what. So now you have like a visual representation of how far or fast the meter is gonna go down, and that helps you know how big the attack was. You know, aside from just the standard sounds for like attacks that don't really nail it, and attacks that are super effective. Anyway, I was talking about my overall impressions of the game. It's good. Its story is better. Its story is also kind of dumb at points, you know. But it has this natural development throughout it. If I was to like give my complete thoughts on it, I think it's interesting, you know, like the whole Ultra Beast wormhole thing. But there were some things I was thinking about in terms of how they introduce it and how they handle all of it. And to be honest, I do have some criticisms of it, and it mainly has to do with the big events that transpire from the entire Ultra Beast plotline. So to roll it back, not the whole game, but for a little bit, when we get to the point where we go and do the raid on the Aether Foundation's like head laboratory thing, we have that moment in the game, and then they use the Cosmog to open up a bunch of wormholes all over the world. And then you have that, you have that moment happens, and then Ultra Beasts start coming out of them. And then you see, like, the 4 Guardians fighting them off, and the Kahunas are there. And then you have that happening. And that's cool. And then it's just, you move on, and then you go to the next island, but this time Lily has progressed as a character and says, like, I'm gonna do better. And, you get that. And it's like you go through this island, and then that's where I feel like the game, from a story standpoint, starts to kind of meander and doesn't really know what it's doing for a little bit. It's very weird. I feel like the structure of this game would do better if it pushed the plot forward faster. I feel like, to be quite honest, I feel like leaving everything to be resolved on the 4th island, I feel like it was a little too early. And I feel like they could have put some better sequences in the story in it. Like, maybe introduce this stuff a little bit earlier, you know? Maybe even cut the entire, you've got to go get the young goose back from Team Skull. Maybe take that out. Or at the very least, like, eliminate one of the encounters with Team Skull and then rearrange where you have the big takeover bad guy's base. Because that's clearly their moment in the sun. You can't really take that away from them. So my thing is you move that, and then you give more screen time to the Aether Foundation. Because I don't feel like there's enough of it early on in the game before it's like, pretty much they turn on a switch and say, okay, they're bad now, go beat them up. And I feel like that's executed poorly. So I feel like just do that again. Like do that, show them more often. And if you get to this entire part earlier, where you're going and you're I'm always bad with words whenever I'm only slightly tired. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you do everything earlier, you have an opportunity to do better stuff with the plot. You go through, you have that moment where Lusamine opens up all of these wormholes, and then maybe make the player go to all of these islands again. Like, have them go to all of those islands again and, like, take out these Ultra Beasts and have you encounter them. Because for some reason, they leave it for the post-game. At least that's what it seems like to me. I was looking at playlists of other people's LPs, which thankfully none of them have any spoilers, as if there's anything to spoil in a fucking Pokemon game. And, from what I saw, it seems like the Ultra Beasts are something that you tackle after you've beaten the game. And, I don't like that. I feel like the Ultra Beast, for something that is so utterly hyped, both in promotional stuff in this game and in the game's story, they don't do anything in the story. They're a plot device that you don't see the effects of. You're like, alright, wormholes open. Alright, so fucking an Ultra Beast went here and here and here. Apparently they were fought off screen. Okay, cool. Alright, let's go to Ultra Space and fight the big bad guy. Oh, she fused with one. That's fucking nuts. Oh, we're not fighting it? Oh, it's defeated in a cutscene. Oh, that's not good. You don't fight any of these Ultra Beasts in the main... Oh, wait, no, never mind. You do fight one once. You fight one Ultra Beast once, and if you don't beat it in like 3 turns, it runs. That's not cool. And I've seen all the Ultra Beasts. I've seen leaks, and I've seen trailers. They look cool. There's an opportunity here to, like, throw them in as a really cool, like, bunch of boss encounters, you know? Thought that would be an awesome... Is the Elite Four just right here? Did we already do the road? Huh. Well, that's neat. Sounds good. But I feel like if you could rearrange... I would love to rearrange the events of this game and maybe, like, go at it a little bit differently. And I feel like it would have done the game a lot better. Actually, I'm thinking about it, you know? Imagine this, right? I don't know how people will feel about this pacing, right? Lower the levels of some of the Kahuna fights and some of the trials, right? And change some of the stuff up with it. And what I think would be interesting, and they'd have to rewrite the entire game, but imagine if they said the Island Trial Challenge is 6 trials that you must complete. You have to do 6 trials. And I think the rest, I'm just going to do my final thoughts here, and next video we'll do the Elite Four. So, like, the game is structured so that there are, like, 6 trials, and then you have the 4 kahunas. And then just put 2 in each, if you want. Like, you don't, or you could just go with how the game has it now, right? And, you go through, and you do the 6 trials, you beat the 4 kahunas, you explore the chunks of this world. And then once you've completed everything, they're like, this is great. And then they're talking about the Pokemon League, hyping it up. And then you start the event that leads into the Aether Foundation, you know? You get to see them throughout the 4 islands, and, you know, their small setup, foreshadowing. You get a few appearances with their leaders and stuff to help you get more from their character instead of meeting them once and then fighting them the next time you see them. Especially after meeting them on good terms the first time you see them. You know, give it more time to bake, I feel like. Put it in the oven a bit more. And then you've completed all the trials. You've beaten the Island Challenge. You're waiting to see what the Pokemon League has to offer, which is still under construction. This is when the Aether Foundation stuff happens. Then you do it, then the twist of, oh man, Team Skull's working with them too, because Team Skull... they have had full control of the plot in terms of major stuff the entire game during the entire Island Challenge. You do that. You take on the Aether Foundation, you know, they escape. All those events that happened before, they happen again. And, the wormhole thing happens. And you're like, okay, this is an emergency. We need to go help before we even have a chance to think about what to do with Cosmog. We need to figure this out. We need to take out these Ultra Beasts because they're, you know, just say that, like, if they aren't taken care of quickly, they're gonna destroy, like, cities and shit. And you don't have to show that or even imply that they do any damage, but it's like, we gotta get there quickly. Then you Charizard your way there and take down 4 of them and make them 4 varied designs, which you have many of them with Ultra Beasts. Fight them, take them on. Maybe even try to catch them if, you know, if you're able to, or you beat them and then you can get them later in post-game, something like that. And make them really fun boss fights. And I feel like that would have made the game better, because after you do that, it's like, you could then say, hey, here, we found the flute. And then you go, and then you go through the efforts to try and find out how to restore Cosmog, and then he gets to become Lunala, and then... At that point, you can reveal, here's the 7th trial that you have to do, which is the final test with the dragon one, and say that this one we don't do anymore. And then you can make that a hyped up thing, then say, this is the challenger that did everything and then some. And then you go into the ultra space, and then you take her on, and then you battle her 5 Pokemon. Then you do the victory screen, but record scratch, you fucking fight this fucking Lusamine weird Ultra Beast bitch. You fight her because that's the best thing ever, and you should have been able to do that. She's like level 55. She's got a bunch of cool moves. You beat her, and then the cutscene kills her for you. But you do that, and it's awesome. Fucking awesome. And then that settles that entire plot line. And then they say, well, in the time that you're doing that, the construction has been finished on the Pokemon League. You go to the Pokemon League, you do it, you beat it, boom. That I feel would have been better executed than this. I feel like the last leg of this game, a little haphazard, a little awkward, a little meandering at parts. And that's just my thoughts on the story as a whole. I feel like story and the format could have been tightened up a little bit. Because I just feel like you don't see enough of the bad guys of the Aether Foundation for them to make as much of an impact on the game. I think Team Skull's fine. And I think the Ultra Beasts are one of the biggest missed opportunities in the entire game. They are hyped up, but they don't do anything. They are cool things for you to go seek out and a big set of legendary Pokemon to go get, right? But in the story, they seem to be this great thing that you don't really get to do anything against. You run into one of them in a scripted fight, and I feel like that is one of the biggest disappointments with the game, along with not being able to fight Lusamine's cool form. That's some stuff that I feel like they could have brought us something really original and really interesting. And I wish that they went all the way with that. And I'm not even saying you need to have some edgy story with this. I just feel like they should have used the stuff that they had and rearranged some of the stuff in the game. Aside from a gameplay perspective, I think everything in this game is fantastic. This game is clearly the first Pokemon game post the Experience Share change, where Experience Share makes it so that everyone gets experience. This is the first game that actually said, we're going to balance the game based on you using it. So every battle is thrilling, every battle has challenge to it. The game doesn't feel easy. And that is one of the big parts. Worst part of the gameplay are totem battles. They are inherently badly designed from a gameplay perspective. They are battles in which the game effectively forces you to take on a superpowered version of a Pokemon with increased stats, including health, that also has the ability to infinitely call Pokemon to its side for you to fight, effectively making the battles 2-on-1. Unless you're supremely overleveled or have plenty of Pokemon that it can exploit a weakness, you're gonna have a bad time on some of these fights. And in the end, Pokemon is a game about very, very fair rules, and it feels very weird that they actually did something that seems to put you at a major disadvantage. Everything in the game, in every Pokemon game, seems fair. Except Rap in Gen 1. Fucking, except Rap. And Fire Spin. So, in that, it's like, it's 2-on-1. It's dumb. Every other feature in a Pokemon battle is always consistent. Whether it's a double battle, rotation battle, triple battle, single battle, you're going through what it's very simple. You have access to healing items, and your opponent has access to healing items. They have access to every move they would want or would use. And to go into these trial battles where the game just said, fuck it, you're basically fighting 2.5 Pokemon at once. Because the Pokemon, the Totem Pokemon, is basically like, you could say 3.5, because it's basically more than double the power of whatever Pokemon that would be normally, you know? And the only one I ended up having trouble and losing to was Mimikyu. But there were plenty of them where I'm like, this is a little rough, you know? And it's rough for not hard reasons, but for frustrating. There gets to be a point where you're at a line where something is hard because it is challenging, and hard because it is frustrating. And totem battles, to be honest, are frustrating in a lot of ways. There's other things I could criticize, like the frame rate in double battles, or anything that's super action-packed. The frame rate takes a hit. That's just because of the hardware. I'm not really gonna say, man, fuck the devs of this game because the game runs bad on some stuff. I'm on the oldest 3DS model. I'm not on the new one. And most importantly, I don't feel like I should necessarily blame Game Freak because Nintendo has a console that's really bad. Thank God it's dying. But yeah, overall, I think the gameplay is fantastic. It is the same Pokemon gameplay you expect with a lot of quality of life changes and improvements, like whenever you're switching your Pokemon in battle, it'll hover over them. It won't show it here, but it would hover over and show you what moves your Pokemon had, and tells you if you're gonna switch to this, here's what's not very effective, here's what's super effective. There's like a button to use your Pokeballs in battle. They give you all the relevant information you need. It's just, they're iterating on a system they've used for years, and it's fantastic. Music in this game, it's probably the best soundtrack that Pokemon's ever gotten. All the new Pokemon they introduced are great. I think they added a bunch of new ones, and some of them are my new favorites, even some that I didn't even catch. But the big issues I feel like the pacing of the game gets a little wonky during the final island segment. I feel like Ultra Beasts and conversely the Lusamine encounter are a missed opportunity. Let's see, what else? I feel like totem battles have issues, and I would much prefer battles against one Pokemon, or they change how those encounters work. Like, you can have a second Pokemon join the battle against me, but that Pokemon does half damage, or is severely debuffed, because game balance is put into question there. Because if the answer to fixing that is, well, if you grind no. Like, I'm a few levels higher than something and I'm just getting ripped to shreds at times. Like, I feel that stuff is a bit of a problem, but I think the biggest issue that this game suffers, there's not enough new Pokemon. There's not. Like, even, I will say this, Alolan Pokemon are really great. I think they're cool. There weren't enough to compensate. In my opinion, there are not enough Pokemon in this gen, and I feel like they needed more. They needed more because there were still plenty of Pokemon I've seen before that have no variation. I feel like what would have helped is if they were able to give us more variants and more new Pokemon, or one or the other, you know? Like, I feel like if you added 20 more different Pokemon, and that would include evolutions if you wanted to say do regional variants, that would have made the game better. It's just there were plenty of times where I'm going in a cave and I'm running into Golbats and going, are you serious? You know? Like, that, and I feel like there was too much of Pokemon that they always put in here. Like, I don't want to see Golbats and Zubats. Give me Woobats. Give me more stuff give me different stuff. And give me new stuff. I feel like there wasn't enough variety in this game in terms of the Pokemon, and that is a damn shame. Overall, I think it's a good game. It's the best one on 3DS, and it definitely is on par and an evolution and the next step from the games that Black and White were. And it feels good that they didn't regress and make worse games. They found a way to include Pokemon's story in a fun, interesting way and change up the Pokemon formula. I think this game's good. Anyway, with that, we are done with this episode. Next episode's the finale, in which we take on the Elite Four and the champion. So, if you liked this video, well, good for you. What else do you think I was gonna fucking say? Alright, I'm leaving, and that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed my final thoughts on the game, and I'll see you for the finale. I think I'll just do it all in one video.